All right, let's get right into it. We're about to explore a hidden war, a digital battle being fought every single day for the safety of our kids online. And this isn't some abstract concept. This is a real story that kicks off with one person's absolutely horrifying discovery and spirals into a fight against predators, against powerful institutions, and, well, against a system that just refused to listen.
This sentence. This is the one that changes everything. It's a comment, just typed out on a website underneath a picture that a father posted of his own child in a bathtub. This single, chilling quote, this is where our story really begins. And it immediately shows you just how high the stakes really are.
So, how did this whole thing even come to light? Well, it all started with a text message. A hacker, one who actually specializes in hunting down child predators, gets a text from a friend's wife. It has screenshots of a website. He literally drops everything, goes straight home, and just starts digging. And what he finds, it's a complete nightmare. It's a forum where people, like that father, were posting photos of children, and then other users would comment in detail about what they wanted to do to them.
And here's where the story takes a massive turn. The hacker pretty quickly figures out that the person running this horrific site wasn't some anonymous ghost on the dark web. No, it was a known person, a Democratic politician by the name of Nathan Larson. And this one fact, right here, would become a huge roadblock, turning what should have been a clear-cut case into a story that, it seems, nobody wanted to touch.
So you've got this concrete, undeniable evidence, right? The logical next step is to report it. But this is where the story just gets so frustrating. Instead of action, the hacker was met with a total wall of silence. From law enforcement to major news media, the response was pretty much universal: nothing. And look, he did everything by the book. First, he went to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's tip line. You know, the official channel. Then he starts going down the list, hitting up major news outlets: the Sun-Sentinel, the Daily Mail, Fox News, Business Insider. And at first, reporters were interested. They were excited even. But as soon as their legal teams heard a politician was involved, they dropped it, cold. He even tried reaching out to big-name influencers. Nothing. Every single official door was slammed shut in his face. For a minute, though, there was a glimmer of hope. Project Veritas, you know, the group known for its undercover work, actually reached out. They flew down, they took all the data, and their journalists spent months working the case. I mean, they were passionate, and they even managed to identify 500 individuals from the website's database. But then, there was a leadership change at the organization, and everything just stopped.
And this quote, this just says it all. After months of hard work, the new interim CEO, Hannah Giles, gets on a call with the hacker and tells him, quote, "Your story is not a tidal wave." And with that, she shut the entire investigation down. The last institutional hope he had basically decided the story just wasn't big enough to matter.
But here's the pivot. This is the turning point. When every single established institution failed, one independent creator, a podcaster, saw a tiny 1-minute clip about this story and decided to risk his entire channel to get the truth out. This was the moment that wall of silence finally came crashing down.
That's all it took. Just one podcast episode from one creator who was willing to tell the story when absolutely no one else would. It's just proof that sometimes a single voice is all you need to start an avalanche.
And wow, what an avalanche it was. That one episode didn't just get views. It ended up educating millions of parents and kids about the very real, very immediate dangers that are lurking online. It showed them just how fast these predators can operate.
And this had real-world consequences. We're talking about justice. Of those 500 people that Project Veritas had identified from that database before they pulled the plug, 13 of them were later convicted of sex crimes involving children. This wasn't just a story. It was a direct line to putting incredibly dangerous people behind bars.
And hey, remember the authorities who ignored him at the beginning? Well, after the story absolutely exploded and public pressure started to build, the FBI, the same FBI that had dismissed the case, suddenly became very, very interested in helping. It's a pretty stark reminder of how powerful public awareness can be.
That victory was absolutely critical, but it also shined a light on a much, much bigger problem. You see, this war is far from over, and now the very same hacker who exposed that network is sounding a new alarm. He's warning that the next major battlefield isn't some shady dark web forum. It's one of the most popular children's platforms on the entire planet.
Let this number sink in for a second. We're talking about Roblox, a game with 75 million active users every single day. Let me repeat that. 75 million. It is, by a huge margin, the largest children's game in the world. And according to the source, it's a massive, basically unregulated playground for predators.
Now, the argument here isn't just that Roblox is being careless. It's that the company is actively, and I mean actively, hostile to people who are trying to make the platform safer for kids. They're not just failing to act. The accusation is that they're taking steps to stop others from acting.
You can't make this stuff up. This is the actual title of a press release from Roblox. More on our removal of vigilantes from Roblox. They publicly announced their policy of banning so-called vigilantes, people like a YouTuber named Schlepp who had actually managed to get multiple predators arrested because of their activity on the platform. Roblox didn't thank him, they didn't hire him, they banned him.
So why on earth would they do this? Well, the source points to a pretty clear financial motive. See, Roblox takes a 30% cut of all in-game purchases made with its currency, Robux. And this applies to everything, from normal game items to the sale of really disturbing content, like t-shirts that graphically show the assassination of political figures. They get a 30% commission on every single transaction, no matter how toxic it is.
And the kind of content that's been found it's just staggering. We're talking about in-game chat logs that openly reference child abuse material, characters dressed up with satanic symbols, users that are openly talking about grooming tactics, and even entire playable games that simulate assassinations. And all of this is accessible on a platform used by 75 million kids a day. Okay, so after hearing all of that, the big question is, what can you actually do about it? And look, this isn't about creating fear. It's about empowering parents with knowledge, with real, actionable steps to build a line of defense for their kids in this digital world.
You know, protection is really a multi-layered strategy. First, there are tech tools. Monitoring software like Bark or Custodio can scan for keywords related to bullying, sexual content, or even self-harm. Second, do your homework. Get to know the platforms your kids are on. But honestly, the most important thing, the single best defense you have, is having the conversation. Creating that open line of communication is everything. It ensures your kids feel safe coming to you if they ever see something that makes them feel weird or uncomfortable.
And so we'll end with this. This is the fundamental question that cuts through all the tech, all the headlines. After everything we've talked about, from hidden websites to the biggest gaming platforms in the world, it all boils down to this one simple, direct, and incredibly urgent question.